Hey guys, it's Charlie. I'm going to show you how I package up commits for a pull request. I'm working on a feature branch and perhaps I'm making work in progress commits along the way. And before I merge or put up a pull request to merge a feature branch, I want to package up my commits so that they make sense for the project's Git history. So there's a lot of great ways to do this. Git provides a lot of ways on the command line. One thing that many people use is Git interactive rebasing. And I'll just show you what that screen looks like. So it's git rebase -I, and then you pass in the hash of the base that you want to rebase to. This is the hash that represents the head of the master branch in my project. So Git rebase, interactive rebase, gives you a lot of awesome options. You can do stuff like you can change the messages on your commits. You can squash all your commits down to one commit. You can do what's called a fix-up commit, which is where you make a commit perhaps after you've already done a PR and somebody has comments and you want to change something. You can make a commit that points at another commit and then squash your fix-up commit into that other commit that it's pointing at. A lot of great stuff in here. If you're really good at keeping your commits together as you work, this can be a very clean and fast workflow. I use this, but I really like to use this GUI called Gitx, especially for any of my larger feature branches. So I'm going to show you how I use that. So as you see again, we saw these 4 work in progress commits sitting on top of the head of master. And so I'm just going to undo all those commits. Git reset down to the head of master. There's other ways to do this too. You can look at the Git documentation for that. So now when we look inside Gitx, we see all my work collapsed down into these files, and Gitx shows all the stuff that I'm going to be deleting out of the master branch and adding in my feature branch in green. Deleted stuff is red. And so let's take a look. So I'm adding a gem called Sinatra Advanced Routes. That's kind of important. That's a great little commit. I made this little change to a config file that adds eager loading for my models. It's good to commit. Now, one of the most powerful features of Gitx is the ability to add just a few lines. Just pick the lines that you want from any file from a series of files. So for example, if you're in Rails and you have you're adding 3 controller actions to one controller and you're adding a bunch of routes, perhaps you want to package up the controller actions that match the routes. 3 separate commits, 1 route for each action. The point being that you can really manipulate this the way you like. You want to make your commits make sense. So here I changed some stuff around this Git collection method, and here's the stuff that came out. I can stage just those lines I added, and stage the rest of that little piece of work there. And you see that only those lines from this API resource file are added in this commit. Then the bulk of this work was around really factoring some code from API resource out into this HTTP endpoint class. So I'm just going to wind this up by putting those together. Now this is just an artifact. I wanted to post my public key and I didn't have a good way to do that, so I just threw it up on this repo. It doesn't belong here, and we can just delete that. That's not in Git. And now you can see that we have added these 4 commits on top of the head of master, and we packaged them the way we wanted. There's a lot of ways to package up commits that make sense for your project. I have my own opinions about that, but the point about this is that you don't have to live with what you started with your code. If you want to repackage stuff completely, it's really fast to do that. I find this interface to be very intuitive. This is the Rowan J fork of Gitx, and the original Gitx does not work on Yosemite, Max Yosemite OS, so you have to use this at Yosemite. But there's also a lot of other GUIs that work really well that allow you to package lines at a time, all kinds of other fancy stuff. So I want to encourage you to check them out. Okay, well, thanks for watching.